Hello, this is Douglas Loyo, and in this video I'm going to go through the process of installing Git on a Windows machine. The first thing is we want to make sure that we comply with the prerequisites to install Git. So really the only thing that we need is a Windows system that has at least .NET Framework 4.0 installed. This machine here, I made sure that it already has it. Okay, so for the next step, we're going to do an easy installation through Chocolatey. Chocolatey is a NuGet extension that helps us install stuff much more easier. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to www.chocolatey.com. .org. And we're going to copy this command right here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to open a command prompt by typing CMD in the search box. We're going to right click and we're going to run it as an administrator. So if you get prompted by user access control that if you want this process to run, you just say yes. Next thing is you're going to right click, you're going to paste the command, and you're going to hit enter. This will go to the Chocolatey server, download it, and install Chocolatey on your machine. Now, something important to notice is that Chocolatey installs in your C drive under Chocolatey. Okay, so we were successful in installing Chocolatey. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to open a PowerShell window as an administrator. So we're going to right click again, run as administrator. We'll say yes. Now PowerShell by default in the Windows machines is set to run scripts as restricted mode. We want to run scripts in unrestricted mode. So we can type in set execution policy as unrestricted. It'll prompt us that if we're sure, we'll just say yes, hit return. Okay, the next thing is there's an awesome plugin called PoshGit. PoshGit is a plugin that helps us with Git on PowerShell. So we're going to install that. Now that we installed Chocolatey, we can just use the package installers from Chocolatey. So we can do cinst PoshGit and hit return. Now, something that's very interesting here is that PoshGit has some dependencies to run. One of the dependencies is the msysGit, which is Git for Windows client. So when I hit return, we'll see that it'll go and resolve those dependencies. There we go. We can see that it's downloading Git 1.7.11. So here it comes. And after it finishes installing msysGit, it will continue with the installation of PoshGit. And we're done with this part, which we know we have PoshGit installed. It installed msysGit. It even added a icon on our desktop for Git. So what I recommend from here is to close this PowerShell window, and we're going to make sure that some things are configured correctly. So we're going to go to our computer, we're going to right click, we're going to say properties, advanced settings, environment variables, and we just want to make sure that on the path, on the system variables path, we have the path set for Git. In this case, I don't see it there, so we'll add two paths. The two paths that we're going to add here are one to the bin folder. So you can see that Git was installed. C program files Git. So we want to add paths to the bin and to the command. So that's what I copied and I just pasted right here, the bin and the git command. Okay, we're going to hit OK. OK to all. We'll close this. Now, to make sure that we set the paths correctly, we're going to open a PowerShell window. We're just going to type in git, and we see that we're good. Now, this is a normal error that we have up here that says cannot resolve paths to the IDRSA. This is one of the steps that we have to complete next. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a SSH key to our user, our current user. This is easily done by typing SSH keygen.exe and hitting return. Now, it's asking us if we want a default path for the IDRSA. I always leave it where it wants to install it. We'll look at the location. It's cusers pulse. This is your username, your machine username, .sh.idrasa. So I always hit return, hit return, hit return. And it creates an IDRSA key for us with the default settings. So now if we open PowerShell once more, we'll have no error. Okay, so we configured the paths, we configured an SSH key. Now to be able to access our Git server, in this case I'm going to go through a simple example of GitHub. So we're going to create an account so we can try out and finish configuring our SSH key. What we're going to do is we're going to open an Explorer window. We're going to go to github.com. We're going to click in sign up and pricing, and on this first box they have a free for open source. We're going to create a free account. As a username right now I'm just going to do John Demo. Hopefully it'll be available. There we go. Okay, so it asks for an email address and password and confirm password. We'll create an account. So here we are. And I am going to create a new repository. I'm going to call this repository play area. We're going to make it a public repository, and we're going to initialize this repository with a README file, and we're going to be using C# as a language, so I'm also asking GitHub to add a gitignore file for me. We're going to create the repository, and here we go. Okay, so to finish configuring and wrapping up our SSH configuration, you're going to click on account settings. You're going to scroll down to SSH keys. You're going to click on SSH keys, and we're going to add SSH key. For the title, I like to do just the name of the key that we're adding, right? IDRSA. And then for the key, this is very important. You're going to go to Computer, C, Users. We're going to go to the user that you're installing with. In this case, it's Pulse SSH, and we're going to open this IDRSH pub, which is the public version of our keys. We're going to open, select a program. We're just going to do Notepad. We're going to select all, and then we're going to copy. We're going to go back to our GitHub account that we just created. Inside of the key, we're going to say paste, and we're going to say add key. It's going to ask us to confirm our password, and we'll confirm the password. There we go. We've just added the public part of our key to GitHub. Now, what can we do with this? Well, if we go to our C drive and we create a folder, let's say a folder called projects. So once we're in GitHub inside of our repository, we can look at the URL for the SSH. We'll copy it. We have to make sure that we're not inside of C Windows System. We want to be in the folder that we just created, which is our projects folder. And then from here we're going to type in git clone and paste. And what this will do is it'll bring in the repository to our local machine. So I'll hit return. There we go. If we go into the play area, we know that we are in our master branch in Git. So we have installed Git and we're good. Now that we have Git installed, there are a few global settings that you would want to configure. Some of these basic settings are your username, your email, and the AutoCRLF property. Sometimes when you're working on teams who have multiple operating systems installed, like Linux and Windows, the line endings in the files are different. For Linux, for example, it's only a line feed. For Windows, it's a courage return and a line feed. So let's go through these settings. If we go into our PowerShell window and we type git config -- global user.name, and we type in the username that we've been using, in this case John Demo. Then we can do the same thing for the email address. So it's just email, and we're going to do john@demo.com. And the last setting that we talked about was the AutoCRLF, and we want to set this to true. That's pretty much it. Now, one of the optional installs that we recommend is Console 2. Console 2 is just like a layer on top of PowerShell that makes it a little bit nicer. To install this, there's also a chocolatey install package. So the only thing we have to do is cinst console 2 and hit return. And chocolatey will do its magic and install console 2 for us. Now, where will this get installed? This will get installed in the C chocolatey lib folder. So we'll see it right here. And you can go through the step-by-step installation of console 2. But what I really recommend is just copying the config file. And that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to add some shortcuts. Right now I'm going to add it to the desktop. And we're going to go into www.douglasloyo.com/C console2/console.xml and hit return. And this will open a XML file, which we really just want to copy it all. And in this one right here is that same console. So what we're going to do now is we're going to replace this console XML with the one here that already has pre-configured look and feel and stuff like that. Before I do that, I'm just going to open console 2 so you have a feel of how it looks like right now. So it looks like that, right? And there's some things that we'll have to fix in a second for this, but follow me through. So if we go to our Git repository, we'll see it like this, right? Okay, so for this message to disappear, The only thing that we have to do is set the execution policy to unrestricted. Now it says that we can't do that, and that is because we're going to have to set the properties, and in compatibility we're going to say run this program as an administrator. When we click on it, it'll ask us that if we really want to do this. We'll say yes, and now we're going to say set execution policy to unrestricted, and that way the next time we open it, it won't have that red error at the top, right? Now we go to CD the location of our project. We should be good, and we should have Console 2 with that. So there's some really cool features about Console 2. You can select and paste and stuff like that, but you have to configure those manually. But I have a pre-configured file that you guys can download right here, douglasloyo.com/console2 console.xml, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to close Console 2. We're going to say File, Save As, console.xml, and we're going to put it in the location where Console 2 is installed, which is chocolatey lib console 2 bin, and we're going to overwrite this guy. So we'll say yes, and there we go. Next time we open Console 2, it's going to look awesome. There we go. Better font size, so it looks much nicer. It has a small transparency and stuff like that. We recommend that you do install it so that you have a better experience. Well, that'll be it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, please email me. Thank you. Have a great day.